we've ever seen through 99 games. Sydney FC kick things off, immediately looking to get Ryan Grant forward down that right-hand side, and a little bit of speculation pre-game that maybe Brisbane wouldn't go with a back four, but it does appear that Darren Davies has gone that way, Harps.
Yeah, and an early transgression from Stefan Negro. The forearm into the squared-off mullet. I think that's one of the huge talking points before we really get going here, Speedy, is why the mullet hasn't been left to run wild.
Yeah.
He styled it.
Didn't even tidy it up in the UAE, but he's doing it here in Brisbane. Jets! And they've already opened the scoring through Aaron Calver into the lineup for Ben Warland and the big centre-half. Well, no one wanted to pick him up, and Jamie Young stood no hope. They score in the opening minute.
Well, that's one way to cast Ryan Grant's mullet into the backstory. What's happened to the Brisbane defending? Calvert straight through the middle, completely unchecked. It's a very, very good header from the soon-to-be ex-Sydney FC defender. Ridiculously free. A minute into the game. The pre-match talk not ringing in the Brisbane players' ears. It's completely evaporated.
He could have put it just about anywhere, and Jamie Young would have done well to keep it out, but what a bullet header it was off the underside of the crossbar for just his second A-League goal. Now Babal brings it down for Brisbane. Could we witness a shootout tonight? As Leck has time to deliver. Babal! And a chance to answer with a header of his own there.
Well, whilst Brisbane were attacking down the right, Darren Davies was just inquiring as to whether there might be some sort of offside life raft sent their way from the goal. But Daniel Leck hitting in a really nice cross. He's done very well since moving to right fullback. Clash of heads as Babal steamed in on that ball. Alex Wilkinson copped one on the cheekbone or in the eye socket there. Certainly usually takes a sledgehammer to knock Wilco off his feet.
So Aaron Calver in a select club. First minute goal for Sydney FC. There's only been 2 of those before today. So here we go. Ninkovic probably offside. Ryan Grant offside, but Calver's on.
Yeah.
So that's a good decision. They're not involved. They're not interfering with play. Goal stands. AGJ didn't muck around with that one. Was that a handball by Babal? It's a foul on Dylan Wenzel-Hall. Just outside the area.
Well, it's good forceful play by Ali Babal. Speaking of a guy, I'm not quite sure how many more opportunities Babal's going to get. It's such a wonderful young talent, crawled by injury, but he's started strongly here today in these opening couple of minutes, throwing his weight around, trying to make a point.
Who do you like here, the left footer?
Well, both pretty good options, Botiak and Lopez.
Well, it's all changing the wall. Redmayne trying to work out the personnel required there, and he gets Wilkinson to pick up Babal. Worried about that threat. Surely they'll go direct. Botiak does. Didn't come down in time. From the Frenchman, who'll be leaving Brisbane at season's end and wants to stay in the A-League. Can you see a team picking him up?
I certainly can. Is that definite? He's ruled out Brisbane?
Yeah.
It's a loss, because I think in a functional team, he can really make a contribution, and I'd be very surprised if there's not A-League coaches of the same opinion. Unfortunately for Eric, he's arrived at Brisbane as things have really bottomed out over the last season and a bit.
He said, I need a good team with a good coach for next season, and my wife and family are happy to go anywhere in Australia, be it Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, wherever, as we check in with Nick Meredith.
Yeah, just on that, Speedy, a rumour this afternoon that, or during the day, that perhaps Melbourne Victory have begun some talks with Eric Botiak, so perhaps he could be in the Melbourne Victory Blue next year. There's also a bit of talk and interest from the MLS. So, look, he's a fine player. As you said, he's come to Brisbane at probably a really unfortunate time. So, wherever he goes next, if he's in a good side, he'll certainly be an influential player.
He's got 6 assists this season, just 2 off the pace set by Troisi and Kianese. Free kick taken early and favouring Andrew Redmayne. Alex Wilkinson's recovered okay, and Calvert is alongside Shannon Cole and Dimi Petratos in that first-minute goal club for Sydney FC. Caceres, retro. Back to the goal scorer. First start since round 17 for Calvert. He did string a lot of games together before round 17. This is good passing by Sydney FC. Ninkovic couldn't slip it past Matt Mackay though. And there's space here for Lopez, for Bale. Lovely play. The big striker able to squeeze the pass out to Wenzel Halls. Now he wants it top of the box. And Wenzel Halls drove it straight into Calvert. They're looking sprightly. They're getting forward quite comfortably, aren't they, Brisbane? And look like they're going to cause some threats to Sydney FC.
Well, it's almost as though they've completely blanked out the ridiculous defending that conceded the first goal. And playing without pressure otherwise, Speedy, I guess that would be another big contributor. Matt Mackay is playing very, very deep as a midfielder, which is sort of adding weight to that notion that maybe Brisbane are playing with the back 5. Here's Mackay now leaping above the pack. Big Matty.
Oh, misses his mark that time with the layoff, but won it back for his team. Super record for him against Sydney FC. 2 wins and a draw. 7 points out of a possible 9 for Babal. Remember him dominating a game in Sydney in Melbourne Heart colours a long time ago now. Lafondra. Oh, that was a decent looking ball. Important header away by Pepper. Otherwise, Bross may have been in. Retro able to turn away from Botiak. Christensen is just absolutely giving it to Stephen Lucas in backplay. Upset about not getting the call earlier. Now Grants. Defenders had to be careful there. O'Neill. Flashbacks to Berlanti's goal back in 2016 as he moved on to that one. Now Wenzel Halls the other one. And that took a deflection for a corner.
Well, this is the beauty of Dylan Wenzel Hall. Certainly the frame of mind is in at the moment. Found in space, and Michael Zullo made a fantastic recovery run as a defender, and he knew he had to get onto Wenzel Halls as quick as possible, because as this unfolds you can just tell he is not scared to shoot on the run from 20 metres, and that's why Michael Zullo really put in the big ones. Sydney defended it well, but there's a glimpse of the hunger as a description used by the panel pre-game very aptly of Dylan Wenzel Halls.
4 goals in his last 6 games, so no wonder he's displaying confidence. That was a clever ball by Leg, driven into Christensen. Early one from Lopez. Just too hot for Wenzel Halls. So Dylan's over on Ryan Grant's side. When's he going to grab hold of that mullet? Good aerial duel was won by Botiak to keep Brisbane in the attacking third. Sloppy from the throw in there by Brisbane. Tucking instincts for him as well. Just going to get away from Wenzel Halls once more.
Nice idea, that. Unfortunately, just overhit by Daniel Leck. It was a good run from Wenzel Halls, rather, who is making the whole front line his own at the moment. He's bobbing up right and left. Good enterprising play by both Brisbane youngsters. Fortunately, just overhit the pass, did Daniel Leck.
Can't be offside from a goal kick. Lafondra aware of that. Maybe Brisbane's defence weren't. No damage done ultimately. Brisbane's A-League record of scoring in 35 straight games remains safely intact after Sydney FC drew that blank last start against Melbourne City to end their streak at 33 games. But they've already scored in the opening minute against Brisbane here tonight, and that's their run of games in recent times. Two-game winning streak ended by Melbourne City at Leichhardt last time out. Of course, 5 games ago, they lost here to Brisbane. And that late goal from Wenzel Halls. Ninkovic, beautiful. Around Mackay. O'Neill. They can use Ninkovic again here. We go back to O'Neill instead via Retro. Space for Zulo. Keeping it along the deck, Sydney FC. This is classy build-up. Zulo, back post, Brosk. Time to bring it down. Important touch by Christensen. It was beautiful build-up from the Sky Blues. Which will please that man. Into the back of Ninkovic. There's Pepper. The most foul player in the A-League out right now, Milos Ninkovic. He was level heading into this round. Brosk gets it back onto his left side, at least initially. Caceres, Grant. Zulo was the target. Don't see that too often. Targeting Zulo with an aerial ball. Brisbane have lost 3 of their last 4. Trying to bounce back from conceding that goal in the opening minute here. Hopeful flick from Mackay. Did work out for Botiak in the end. Stefan Negro, a championship-winning fullback last year with the Melbourne Victory. Risky ball there. Lopez in amongst 2 Sky Blues, able to keep it alive. Decent spell of possession from Brisbane. They've had the least amount of possession all season at 45% for the campaign.
Well, they've looked most dangerous, Brisbane, in counter-attack in transition. Bit of an opportunity then from settled position to release Wenzel Halls. His touch for once let him down. The big question, the Roar is without the ball. Matt Mackay, you see there the number 17, the skipper, dropping into the back line. So in possession, they play three midfielders, his central. As soon as they lose the ball, he's dropping into that back line, making it a back 5, which, as far as I'm doing my maths, leaves them undermanned in midfield, in a clash of bodies in the centre of the field as well.
And clutching at the head is one player, the Brisbane player, Matt Mackay. And that's why play will eventually stop here. Not sure it was a head clash or whether Mackay just ran into a certain part of the Sydney FC player, Caceres. Actually moved to block him off, didn't he? And there was a head clash.
Yeah. A little bit of a verbal exchange between the benches. Sydney say don't stop it during the attack. And Darren Davies, quite rightly in my opinion, says it's a head injury. You've got to stop it if the ref thinks it's serious. So I'm with Davies on that one.
We saw Horn Pacquiao at this venue, and you needed a cut man in your corner on that night. An old magic hands. Elias is trying to patch up Caceres right now and keeping him on the pitch doing that for the time being, just to ensure it's 11 on 11 if they can eventually patch him up.
So that the 11 on 11 is a nice segue, Speedy, to the numbers game that Brisbane, I think, are playing a dangerous game with. Dropping Mackay back into the centre of defence to try and shore up that part of the field. Here's a great graphic of it as we look at the head clash again. Look at that line of 5 Brisbane players. Bang. That's not Mackay's job, by the way, to be a fullback like NFL and block the runner coming through. That was accidental. But one of the things with Brisbane, Speedy, is particularly with this configuration, Lopez and Christensen are not the fastest players in the league. When you sacrifice defensively another midfielder to drop in the back line, not only have you given up the numbers game, you've got 2 pedestrians comparatively up against a fluent, what could be a fluent Sydney midfield. I think it's a bit fraught.
Should this be happening off the pitch? He's going to continue playing, so the patch-up job is happening while he's sitting down on the pitch.
Yeah, no.
Shouldn't he be off?
Well, firstly, if the ref's comfortable, the player's safe, and he should move him off the pitch, yeah. He's going to have to change his shirt now.
Stephen Lucas has just identified that. If the referee had seen that, is that a foul against Matt Mackay, or is it just a coming together?
Oh, to me, it's just a coming together.
That's shit.
Well, Talay doesn't agree.
Well done, Darren.
Well, Ufuk Talay used to play that Matt Mackay role, didn't he?
This guy's got a shirt for me. He's another shirt.
Yep. Elias calling for the spare shirt for Caceres. Kitman has tracked that down. And Peter Green, the 4th official, keeping an eye on all that. Mackay has given the all clear to get back out there, so Brisbane with a one-man superiority at the moment.
Cass, wait. That's going to come off. Cass, don't go yet. Wait for Cass.
Botiak overhit for him. Well, you could put Caceres out there in last night's game at this venue now. And the Broncos were running around against the Dragons. Coolly done by Pepper there. The bar stayed onside. Just missed the link up. He was fouled there. Caceres has returned to the action. Lopez found Botiak. Babar was the target. Negro overhit. That was an easy ball.
Yeah, well, so was actually Botiak's to Babar. A lot easier than it made it look. If the Sydney defender's not in the way, that's going to roll out rather rapidly for a goal kick, and then the pass down the left-hand side from Negro, too much. But impressed with Eli Babar. Really enjoyed as the Melbourne Heart youngster. And you'll remember, Speedy, the lofty aspirations that everyone else had for him as the replacement Mark Viduka, stylistically. And you don't want to heap expectations unnecessarily on a player, but it's great to see Eli Babar back and fit and playing, and I hope he can push on from here.
Wenzel Halls again. Beautiful play. He just finds space. Able to link up with teammates. Terrific young player. Going to divide his time under John Aloisi. Getting a regular run of games.
Well, even before then, it should be repeated, John Cosmina's comment in the pre-game show. Dylan Wenzel Hall's cut twice as a youngster from this club. Had to go and reboot himself, reboot his career. And to youngsters who face the disappointment of missing the cut from time to time. These are great examples of perseverance paying off.
Able to keep it in, Brosk and Ninkovic. Oh, Eric Botiak, little tantrum. Who's he blowing up at? Nick Meredith, you got any clues on why Eric's upset there?
Yeah, Speedy was Wenzel Halls earlier on about him not making a run, but as we've seen Eric a few times this season, he does seem to get a bee in his bonnet about some fairly innocuous sort of things. So I'm assuming that's what it was, but I'm not 100%.
Grant able to stride out. Caceres, easy for everyone to identify now. It's all very narrow here. Ninkovic looked for some width. Eventually Zulo provides it. Ninkovic. Caceres was the target and he keeps it alive. Working hard to create a dangerous passing opportunity here, and Zulo can't get the better of Leck, who was hedging his bets on trying to prevent a corner, and in the end it just rolled out tamely.
Well, nice build-up from Sydney. Brisbane under huge pressure when Sydney have got a few passes together. Daniel just lets it go out for a goal kick.
I like that, Hubs. The memorial concession of a corner for veteran Janjetovic at that end. As O'Neill tried to drive it in along the deck. Grant did commit the foul.
Come on, Steph! What's the ball?
Babal drifting into a wide area. Well cut out by O'Neill, as he does so often. One of those two midfield anchors for the Sky Blues. Interesting, that throw down of the ball in frustration from Botiak before. If he did that about a refereeing decision, he'd be in the book.
Well, I thought it must have been about something like that, dissent by action. But our eyes on the sideline, never misses a thing. Nick Meredith.
Because it had come after a brilliant backheel by Botiak to Eli Babal, and that combination was on song. But as Nick alluded to, maybe Dylan Wenzel-Halls didn't join the party as the third player that Botiak wanted involved. Now Lafondra unable to link up with Brosk effectively. Davies barking out the instructions, telling Leck that's your responsibility. Milos Ninkovic. Lafondra was the target. It would have been borderline offside, but appreciated the intent.
Brendan O'Neill, unfortunately, from a Sydney viewpoint, completely misread the run from Lafondra. Computed that the Englishman was staying wide when every other indication from Lafondra said, I'm angling in.
Oh, brilliant for Babal. He's got super technique. And let down by Negro, and look how frustrated Babal is. Little shake of the head after he did super work to try and ignite an attack to go one way. Negro let him down a little. O'Neill just drifting into space. Will that get to Grant? It does. Brosk. And it's going to break down again. That looked like a lot more promising than it wound up doing. Let's get to the bottom of this, Harps. Let's go back and look at Eric Botiak.
Right.
Here's the back heel, came off for Babal, and he's going Where's the next pass? Where were you? And he grabbed the ball and he said, I'm filthy.
Still don't know what happened.
About the next link in the chain when Babal and Botiak are building up like that. One more pass and they're in on goal. If the other guys are on the same wavelength.
He got tackled.
He wouldn't have left the ball there long enough to get tackled if the other teammate was on his wavelength. Presumably they worked on that on 12 days on the training pitch, as Darren Davies alluded to pre-game. Neil will find his man this time. And again, it's Pepper with the clearance. Oh, Ninkovic. How many players would have gone down there? But like he was stepping over the little obstacles on the training pitch, he won the ball and just stepped over the top of Eric Botiak so comfortably. Not even a glancing blow. Oh, little touch from Lucas. It's a decent diagonal, isn't it, from Retro. Toniak had to be careful inside the area in the back of Brosk. Oh, clever by Wenzel Halls. And why isn't that a yellow card, say the Brisbane fans?
No, it should be. It certainly should be. A beautiful little shimmy from Wenzel Halls. O'Neill committed, and of course, you know, you work the numbers, you work the probabilities, and you realise I can take a player out here because I'm not going to get a yellow.
Yeah, because it looks a bit clumsy. I'd make it look clumsy. Yeah.
And the centre midfielders whose job is to break from those defensive midfielders into those sectors either side of halfway on the sideline. Just take the guy out. You're not going to get a yellow. You stop the attack. One way to fix that.
Yeah, perceptive referees who realised that Wenzel Halls was into space and galloping clear there in a promising attacking opportunity. Stephen Lucas didn't see it that way. Handball, no one saw it. Botiak able to continue. Interesting if a goal comes from it. Lopez has 3 Sydney FC players to beat and can't quite get the corner. Redmayne prevents that. Atkinson holding his hand up after the miscontrol. Been trying to squeeze their way up the pitch. Plenty of space for Sydney FC to pass their way through that.
This has got to be us!
Leck and Pepper just managed to sort it out in the end. Wenzel Hall's trying to bend his run. Christensen held fire. And Botiak is fouled. Let's go back and have a look at that Wenzel Hall's moment when he was fouled. Look at all the space that's ahead of him here as he goes past O'Neill. Look at all that space to explore. No yellow. Redmayne keeps out the cross-come shot from Wenzel Hall. Left side of the pitch is vacant here, and Ninkovic knows it. He's committing Leck, and he knows Zulo is there. Zulo across the... Oh, Brosk tried the audacious back heel. Caceres was getting into a goal-scoring area as well, but it remains just 1-0 to Sydney FC.
A good forceful counter-attack. Ninkovic sums it up beautifully. Hits the gas. Zulo doesn't muck around, gets it straight in. Beautiful from Brosk. Brosk has been a little bit too much on the outer so far this evening. Had a couple of opportunities around the penalty area to maybe be a bit more definitive. But the skipper took this opportunity. It was a really near thing. Clever play from Alex Brosk.
Wilkinson. It's the no-frill stuff. Heading it down, finding a teammate. Grant with purpose. Caceres can drive at them. Ninkovic. And Zulo reluctant to get forward. Redtray. Loves finding that angle to his fullback. O'Neill couldn't pull off the 1-2 and then got the last touch as well.
And Sydney are half smart with this, and they're certainly more than that. But the way Brisbane are lining up, they're seriously asking for trouble.
Well, that pass was asking for trouble. Jamie Young able to improvise. And now Babal, pitch opening up here, and Zulo knew it. He went in ball and all on Botiak. And the refs found a foul. And it's against the Frenchman.
Well, he lashed out foolishly. I think that he did get cleaned up by Zulo. Ref decided that challenge was okay. And from Botiak's viewpoint, the ball fell to Brisbane. His little lash out stopped the play.
Look how narrow Sydney FC are. The only player providing width is Grant at the moment.
Well, the midfielders, it's a flood of sky blue. They're pretty much doing what they want. And there's pretty much 4 at any time, at least 3, sometimes 4 Brisbane defenders picking up Lafondra.
Look at Christensen saying, who do I go to? They got lucky as it came back off Lex back heel. Oh, brilliant by Grant. Kept it away from Wenzel Halls. Classy little ball around the corner. Allows Caceres to advance. Brosk providing the win. Oh, a little bit of scorpion action from Alex Brosk. And that pass is squeezed to Zulo. O'Neill. And they get a shot away. They didn't get one shot on target last time out against Melbourne City.
Don't look now, Speedy.
Just about done with that, aren't we?
You haven't got long to go, mate. Ball didn't go out from the goal kick, so we get the retake. With his blood pressure just gone to 190 over 120.
Well, it's just been a great facet of the game for so long. It's going to be sad to see it go. I'm sure everyone agrees with that. Now it's allowed to continue until 2019 is beyond me. IFAB's put their foot down, Harps. They've had enough of it. He's telling O'Neill to get it out to Zulo. First time pass. Pretty handy to Ninkovic. Caceres. He's got away from Redtray as he was thinking about the ball to Grant, who made that trademark run. Lovely first touch from Brosk. Caceres. Mackay in the road to affect the block. Showing a lot of patience, Sydney FC. Possession's up to 60% now, and they've had so much of it in that attacking third, but only 3 shots for the game so far. Brosk headed off at the pass by Pepper. Grant.
A slice, then a shank to give Sydney the throw. Thought Caceres might have shot as the ball rolled square along the edge of the penalty area with his left foot. That was the opening. He wanted to bring the ball back onto his right foot, and Matt Mackay smothered the space. In total control, Sydney need to remain certainly alert to the dangers of the counter-attack. Botiek to Babal, and then Wenzel Halls.
Try. Get the angle right that time. Risky ball by O'Neill, a no look at. Wenzel Halls unable to make the most of it. Well, they've showed great bounce back ability this season, Sydney FC. After losses, it's been 4 wins and a draw. Haven't lost back to back since round 23 last season against Brisbane. And they're in the driver's seat, very much so in this game. Brisbane showed a bit after conceding, but Sydney FC, their dominance has been there for all to see in the last 15 minutes or so, but there's an untidy giveaway.
Well, that's the sloppiness that Sydney must avoid. Retro, the last 2 possessions, he's hit straight to a Brisbane player, and Brisbane have looked to go to one of their speedy wingers straight away, and that's the danger for Sydney. And they shouldn't be in any danger. They make their passes clean and efficient. Lopez and Christensen as 2 midfielders trying to stop this Sydney play. It's ridiculous. And there's another sloppy pass. And Sydney starting to get a bit rusty.
And Wenzel Hall's goal side of Grant's just got away from him. And Retray able to poke it clear. Number 23s head-to-head in that corner at the moment. No foul against Lafondra. There is one against Petra, it appeared. Well, one of those 2 fouls was given. Brisbane play 4 of their last 5 games here at Suncorp. You had some interesting comments this week praising Matt Mackay and his contribution on the Fox Football Wednesday podcast, Harps, and looks like the end is nigh. And what should they be doing in these last few home games for Matt Mackay, do you think? Well, they ask for offside and they get it here.
Well, if it is going to be his last season, I mean, let me go firstly with my view that it shouldn't be his last season necessarily. I mean, even looking at tonight in this undermanned team against a Sydney opposition which is going for second spot or consolidating a top end of the table position, if it's not for Matt Mackay plugging up gaps around here, they're in all sorts of trouble. He's definitely physically capable of continuing, in my opinion. If that's not to be the case, however, then I hope the club cottons on pretty quickly to the fact that he's of legend status for both club and league. Make sure that that's acknowledged properly.
Beautiful. Nikovic open up that space for Bross to move into. Retray. Saris. Grant is there and available.
I think Sydney's issue at the moment, a bit of sloppiness, we've talked about that, but I think that their release ball has just been too slow. Zulo's broken down the left, and on that last occasion, Ryan Grant free for ages. It took them 3 and 4 seconds longer than it needed to get the ball to him, by which time Brisbane had readjusted.
And I think heading into this season, that's something that Corica wanted to speed up. After the Arnie era, he saw the opportunity to get the transition going a lot quicker. Certainly hasn't been the case tonight. Zulo trying to change all that. There's been a lot of check out and recycle. That's crisper passing though. Grant has Brosk ahead of him. Goes inboard to Lafondra. Brosk a chance, and Tonyak had to concede.
He's so dangerous, Alex Brosk. Tonyak recovered really well then. He's taking up some impressive positions, the Sydney skipper. If Sydney can just bounce the ball through a little bit quicker, Brisbane will have to scramble more than they've had to so far.
Alba has already scored from one set piece. Lafondra had it taken away by Matt Mackay. Botiak didn't fancy that, with Zulo coming the other way. Ninkovic trying to cap his 100th game with a goal. Normally you'd be thinking pass there, but he thought, let's have a crack.
Well, that little burst from Michael Zulo is a real tone setter for Sydney. Every time, actually better say, at least by my reckoning, the last 3 times he's got the ball, he's looked to run direct into the free space and turn Brisbane around, give them something to think about.
Rare foray in recent times for Brisbane into Sydney FC territory. Botiak putting it a long way out in front of Negro. Couldn't quite keep it in.
That's a good opportunity for Brisbane as the field had opened up, and I guess outside of Alex Lopez, the next player you'd want to be hitting that pass is Botiak, but he's hit it. Chance goes. Negro made a great effort to try and retrieve it.
I think he was ready to debate the decision of the assistant, who was 50 metres away. He thought the ball was still in, overhanging the line. Assistant thought otherwise. Ninkovic, fantastic. Brosk, full of running. The pass sold him a little short, though. Has to be content with the throw.
He's got good speed, though, Daniel Leck, hasn't he? He turned and chased Michael Zulo to great effect, and he closed that space on Brosk really nicely.
Redtray glides past one. Carlo Redtray drove it into Pepper. And they've got their fair share of blocks in, haven't they, the Brisbane defence? Grant's ball, a hopeful one, offering his strikers no real chance. Went over the top of Wilkinson. Wenzel Halls will track this one down. Oh, usher it out. The throw-in, it appeared at one stage. Ultimately, he gives it away. Negro is fouled by Caceres. Well, can they answer in kind to the goal they coughed up when they let Calver get clear in the penalty area at the other end? Similar angle here to deliver this set piece. Lopez whips it in. Babal, little flick on the bounce harmlessly through to Redmayne.
Well, it would have capped off an impressive first half from Babal. They've got a couple of decent targets as well. Lopez has Babal and Tonyak to hit. Babal was the man who got on the end of it.
What kind of header was he going for there, Harps?
I think he thought he was closer to the goal than he actually was.
Ninkovic Left it for Caceres. That's a clever ball out in front of Zulo. Antonio towers over Ninkovic in the middle. Brought down by Brosk. Ninkovic. Grant. Cut out by Christensen. Zulo, another opportunity. Lafondra trying to turn provider here. And overhit. Had an earlier opportunity when the pass found Zulo and he flicked it up and the impetus was lost. It's been a bit of that.
Yeah, they are lacking that little bit of punch around the edge of the penalty area. They've worked some space to get a couple of decent shots in on goal. Nothing that's troubled Jamie Young.
We're adding on all this stoppage time because of the patch-up work done on the pitch for Anthony Caceres after the head clash with Mackay. Again, misplaced pass this time by Babal. Creates the turnover. O'Neill to Ninkovic. Room to explore. Look at Christensen struggling, but it worked out for him. Has let one it back. Out off Calver. Brisbane sensing an opportunity before the break. Botiak. Christensen looking for Wenzel Halls in the middle. They worked it out in the end. Again, it was Wilkinson with the header. Some ball on Ninkovic to keep that in. Likewise, Lafondra to find O'Neill, who tried to hurdle the challenge of Pepper. Oh, how is that not a yellow card, Stephen Lucas?
Well, O'Neill does brilliantly. I mean, it's cynical. This is a Brazali moment brewing here, Speedy.
Yeah, the Brazalis are an award on the Fox Football podcast on a Wednesday, where you either get plaudits or you get some
custard pies.
Yeah, and Stephen Lucas, I mean, you've got to give yellow cards because Brandon O'Neill now can make another cynical challenge in the second half and deny a Brisbane attack, and Jacob Pepper has got the opportunity to drag down a Sydney FC player and stop an attack later as well. It's not just a free kick, it's a yellow card. Zulo. Grant was rising. Little ball around the corner from Calver. One back cleanly by Lopez. O'Neill. Ambitious ball. He's a little frustrated, Alex Brosk, after another misplaced pass. He's been a little clunky with all that possession, Steve Corica's side. Sometimes he can score too early. You lose a little bit of focus after Calver's first minute strike. There's Pepper right through the back of Brosk on the stroke of half-time. And it is 1-0 to Sydney FC, courtesy of Aaron Calver's second A-League goal. In the opening minute of this game, powering a header past Jamie Young, who stood no chance as Brisbane's defence clocked off. It's 1-0 at the break as we get down to Nick Meredith.
Yeah, I've got Thomas Christensen with me. TK, a horror start, obviously, just some really poor defending on that goal.
Yeah, of course, that was what we expected. But in saying that, that's not the biggest issue at the moment. We are getting overloaded in midfield. We're finding it difficult to when the back five have to push forward, and when they are crowding that area, and it's difficult for us to get on the ball.
So you feel a little bit like you're outnumbered in there and you're chasing shadows when they've got the ball, and when you've got the ball, they're all on top of you?
Nah, not so much when we got the ball. It's more when we're out of possession because we have a back five.
Yep.
So we maybe lack numbers in midfield, and we have to like sort of find out that balance between Matty pushing up and staying.
Appreciate that, mate. Let's have a drink.
No problem.
Yeah, let's have a quick word before we go to the break with Sasha Ognosky and John Kosmina about the moment that has split the two sides so far. All teams with 2 weeks off. Brisbane Roar with 2 weeks and 1 minute off. Sleepy Nine Eyes at the set piece there.
Well said, Adam. Yeah, everybody just fell asleep. I mean, how do you leave one of the biggest guys? As a coach, you got your centre halves that you mark. They mark each other. How do you leave one of the biggest guys on the field free with nobody around him? So. Good header in the end by Aaron Calvert, but the marking was very, very disappointing.
Apart from that, Sydney FC didn't really trouble Jamie Young. We'll talk after the break about exactly what they need to do to maybe change things and what Brisbane need to do to arrest what Thomas Christensen's saying, but there wasn't a hell of a lot to do for Brisbane Roar's shot stopper.
Thomas Christensen talked about the back five, and Sydney have found that in that front third of the pitch a little bit difficult to break down. They've tried combination stuff around the corners of the box, but haven't really got in deep in behind. And maybe, as we will talk about, I'll suggest it now, maybe they need to get their fullbacks a bit further up the pitch, Zullo in particular.
We're off to a short break here from Suncorp Stadium. Plenty to chat about after the break. Join myself, Cozzy and Sash to do just that. Half-time, Sydney FC 1, Brisbane Roar 0 here at Suncorp Stadium. Welcome back. Half-time here at Suncorp Stadium. A game of few clear-cut chances. A bit end-to-end. There's promise for both sides in an attacking sense in different ways. Sydney FC camped outside Brisbane Roar's box, never really able to make Jamie Young particularly busy. And Brisbane on the break, you look to break through Wenzel Halls and Eli Babal and Eric Buttiak haven't quite got it right yet. Adam Peacock alongside Sasha Ognosky and John Kosmina. Let's have a look at the goal again and how they were set up. Brisbane Roar in particular. We talked about how they got to Aaron Calver getting so clear. He was marked at the top of the box, and the two decoys from Sydney FC threw everything into turmoil.
It wasn't even a curved run or any spectacular. He just pretty much ran straight to the penalty spot, and the ball was delivered there, and the marking is just lax. First, Ali Babar was there around him, sort of got a touch to him to block the run, and then Lopez is marking nobody. He's the one that runs in with him, so you're probably suggesting that he's the one that was sanctioned to mark him, and in the end, nobody marked him, and he had a free header.
But the fact that Brisbane defenders, like the centre-backs at least, should have been at least in line with the ball when he made contact. He was completely unchallenged. Yep. There was nobody in that central area, and you'd want someone like Ruan Tongyik at least to be picking off that area.
Let's have a look at the chances, and Cozzy, as we do have a look at the chances, elaborate on your point that you made before the break about the adjustments that Brisbane Roar need to make, because at the moment, apart from the odd chance like this, it's set up base camp outside their 18.
Well, we look at Matt Mackay, they're talking about, TK talking about the back five, and Matt Mackay starts in midfield, but as soon as they lose possession, he drops in between Pepper and Tongyik. So they've got five across the back, sometimes marking one Sydney player. So there's a massive hole in the middle of the park there. You can see Sydney breaking forward there through the middle of the pitch. Look, Zullo for me that's a hard ball to knock around the back of a crowded penalty area. He needs to receive that a little bit deeper. He doesn't look quite as positive tonight, Michael Zullo, as he has in weeks gone by in terms of how he wants to bomb on. He's sat back a little bit.
There's plenty of room too for him to bomb on, because the whole Brisbane side is sitting back. And narrow, so there's a heap of space out on that left-hand side for him to run into, but he just doesn't seem confident, probably in his body, to run up and down as much as we've seen in the past.
So Cozzy, Eli Babal has been isolated. He's tried to bring in Wenzel Halls and Botiak, but there's no real structure in how they're breaking forward Brisbane Roar. You want a little bit more coherency.
You see there, looks like they've worked on playing out of defence from the back third of the pitch, playing into a central area where Babal comes off and he gets support underneath, but there's been no real combination, I guess, or understanding between Babals, Wenzel Halls and Botiak. I mean, Wenzel Halls has turned the ball over a couple of times and he probably shouldn't have, but he's young. Eric Botiak's hardly had a touch, and he's a player that you want to get on the ball as much as possible because he can create things.
Milos Ninkovic, his night so far. Sash, 100th game.
So, because it's so crowded, they get the ball and they break at pace, but then they hit a wall. They hit that wall of seven Brisbane players, and it's been a little bit hard for him to find space. But in saying that, he gets the ball and there's no runners running past him. It's always trying to play little 1-2s around the area, but there's so many maroon shirts tonight around there that are really stifling his play tonight.
We saw this against Central Coast Mariners for Sydney, even though they have the lead this time, and we can't be too detrimental about what they're coming up with. The moment that they started to play a little more direct through the middle and get forward runs into the middle off the ball was when they started to have the joy. Remember that day at Leichhardt Oval against Central Coast where they had to get a penalty to get out of jail in the end, but they got it done.
Yeah, look, it's hard to break Brisbane down, and I think what Sydney are doing is probably the right thing in that they're being patient around the edge of the box. They're looking for the combinations, but one thing I would like to see is they've had opportunities to have a dip from outside the box, and they're not taking it.
Yeah, because there's a rebound that comes out.
And sometimes you've got to look at, you've got numbers behind the ball sitting off, then take your opportunity to shoot when it arises.
Off to a short break. See if things change for Brisbane Roar. Average percent of possession so far this season, 45. At the moment it's 39, so down on that in a season that has been down. Sydney looking to avoid consecutive losses for the first time this season. Find if they can right after this.
Welcome back to Suncorp Stadium. Teams in position and ready to go for the second half. Sydney FC with a 1-goal lead at the break. So can Brisbane, in their State of Origin inspired kit, turn things around in the second half like the Maroons of the rugby league world have done so often at this venue? Negro missed his challenge. Casera skipped past. Well, they scored in the first minute of the first half. Matt Mackay saw off the threat in the first minute and the second. Good scrap between Botiak and Ryan Grant. Surely last touch off Grant. And it is Brisbane's throw. It is round 23 in the Hyundai A-League, the opening game of it tonight. And we're expectant that we'll see the 5,000th goal in A-League history this weekend. At some stage, Andy Harper, we're 12 away now after Aaron Culber's goal. Who do you think's going to crack the 5,000?
Well, it's certainly in danger this weekend. There's 3 goals a game between now and then. It's certainly achievable for the end of this round to get it, which takes us to Adelaide, be the Mariners. Go on Matt Simon.
Wow.
Matt Simon to notch a milestone.
He's back this week. The wild ball from Hilton Moore. What a moment that could be. Score the 5,000th goal in the history of this competition. Saw a tweet from Josh Mitchell today. He scored the 2,000th goal way back when, and honoured about that. Oh, nice little flick by Botiak. Grant held him off second time around, though. Real scrap on the sideline. Advantage play. Botiak has a quizzical look at Stephen Lucas. Will Ryan Grant see further sanction? Lucas is talking to him in back play. Poor pass, neither here nor there for Mackay, and Lafondra with pace. Across came Toniak, timed it beautifully. Did not give up. And probably sums up Lafondra's night so far, Andy Harper.
Yeah, he put a good effort in there, but Toniak had his measure.
Botiak v Grant. Right back had to back off briefly. And he's all over the Frenchman. Oh, Wenzel Halls. Hello, the yellow card's out. Dylan had enough. He got fired up on behalf of Botiak, perhaps. And just clattered into Retray for the first caution of the night.
Well, I have zero problem with any of this. Botiak backed off. He took a chill pill brilliantly. Wenzel Halls decided to be the vigilante. And Stephen Lucas gave him a card, fair enough. And the pressure Ryan Grant put on Eric Botiak, I thought was fair enough. That was good, hard, physical work at the ball. And Botiak knew it. Actually, as frustrating as it was to have Mullet Man right on his hammer, he thought, I can't blow a gasket here because that's fair enough. He knew it, the Frenchman. But there is a little one brewing between the kid from Canoundra and Eric Botiak.
He stared straight down the barrel there as well. Saw himself on the big screen and knew where the camera was. Kind of stuff might wind up in a Fox Sports promo when you do that sort of thing. And look right down the barrel. Wenzel Halls. Oh! Afters with Zulo. And now he's in the book. And Zulo's just saying, I'm trying to get back to my left back position, and I got tripped up by Dylan.
Is Dylan Wenzel-Hall's a slightly marked man?
Zullo still trying to come to terms with that. He's hot under the collar. And he would have been hot under the collar literally today, Harps. I was walking around Brisbane, and the only person I saw with an extra layer on was Michael Zullo. In a hoodie, walking the streets of Brisbane, in a hoodie, in mid-20s, high humidity.
Was he with his crew?
He was on his pack.
They breed him tough at Villanova College.
It's like a boxer trying to sweat things out, or a jockey.
Make the weight.
Yeah.
It's a cold snap if you're from Brisbane at 29 degrees and 70% humidity. Lingering summer heat, causing a lot of consternation around folks here you talk to.
Nice vision, O'Neill, but he couldn't execute the pass for Grant. Otiak. Mackay. Nice no-look pass to Babal. Sold a few Sydney FC defenders down the river with the look away, Manny Mackay. He won it back there. Whipped it away from Ninkovic, the Brisbane skipper.
I should add on Michael Zullo's alma mater. He's also from Brisbane Boys College before people start blowing up. He invented 2 of the local schools.
Well, there's another case in point for your marked man. Just the foul by Calvert. Taken quickly here. Babal was offside, so not sure what all that was about.
But well defended by Ryan Grant otherwise. Just really smart use of the body, positioning of the body, jostling for position. Even if he wasn't offside, Babal just had the devil of a time to win this one. So he's drifted offside here. But Ryan Grant, ever aware. Look at the way he just sticks and feels the little hand. Where's the striker coming from? I'll just shove the hip in here. Completely legal. Made it impossible for Babal to make any sort of meaningful play at the ball.
Do you think Grant has picked up a few of those tricks by getting onto the international stage, a Socceroo now?
I think that it's possible, Speedy. That would have added to it, certainly, but that would underrepresent just the quality of Ryan Grant before then, which got him into Socceroo's calculation. Very, very smart player.
Work by Leck, shutting down that passing lane intended for Zullo. So what's Corica going to do with his bench tonight? He's got some very talented attacking players back in the mix. De Silva and De Jong. Josh Berlanti, of course.
Well, it would be standard, given this season, for Rattray to come off. He seems to be the most expendable in the eyes of Steve Corica. I wouldn't mind seeing Buchanachad open his legs across the field as well. Give it a bit of a go. LaFondra's working hard, but really having the impact at the moment.
Christensen. He's under implied pressure as he turned towards his own goal and gave it away ultimately. Alan Davies trying to get his team to push up the pitch, but now there's some space for Ninkovic. Caceres can use Grant here. Tass a little behind him. So Grant had to work it out with the 1-2. And Toniak well positioned. See off the danger, and Brisbane will get the throw here.
Now that was, again, clever play by Ryan Grant to set the attack up after Caceres nearly killed it with the pass behind Grant, but a beautiful little 1-2. Caceres atoning with a nice touch there. And then Tala Rattray inadvertently hitting the ball out.
All pretty tight here. Last touch off who? No one knows. So they side with the visitors, Sydney FC. Maybe the fourth official, Peter Green, who was best positioned, had a little whisper into the microphone. We saw how much communication goes on in that amazing video piece put together on Jared Gillett's final game here, which has gone viral around the world. More than 5 million views. And everyone digging it halves.
And not one person now incorrectly pronouncing his name. Rhymes with.
Probably watching on now in early morning in the UK. Jared Gillett, fourth official at Anfield recently in the Liverpool Legends game. Offside, Lafondra. Well, Grant beaten that time. He overcommitted on Botiak. Wenzel, Halls and Babal on the move. Neither here nor there, the ball in. They pick up the second ball though. Negro back to the Frenchman. Shapes it in towards Babal. Still Babal. Well, did that touch a hand or two? Sydney FC are saying it's the big striker's hand that it did touch.
I thought there were 2 or 3 handballs in there.
No VAR pause.
There's 1. 2. Alex Wilkinson protesting the case. Most definitely, because it was he who hit the second handball. Thought, oh, if they didn't pick up the first one, I might be stuck with the second one.
Oof. Botiak was upended by Caceres, and then he swung a leg out towards Grant and caught him. They're all happy with it, though.
Decent battle this side of the field between... He's followed through a little bit there, hasn't he, Eric? Flying to the ground because of the Caceres intervention. I'm going to be thanking him for that.
Botiak's delivery. And somehow, Sydney FC will get it clear of their defensive third. Could have gone anywhere. Time for a change. And Josh Berlanti, after his potential transfer to South Korea and the Pohang Steelers fell through, is back in A-League action. And it is Rattray first off. Some of his diagonals were delicious in that first half, Paolo Rattray, but Berlanti will give a different kind of look to midfield. Going on, Darren Davies and Peter Green talking things over. Sideline, you may have heard a bit of that. What's going on down there, Nick?
It's just a normal discussion, I think, between a frustrated coach and a poor, victimised fourth official. It's the worst job in the world, fourth official. Dead set. It's like, you know, when your wife gives you 15 jobs to do and you've only got 10 of them done when she gets home. That's your fourth official's life, mate. Terrible.
Deft touch by Botiak. Negro unable to link with Babal. Back to the Frenchman. And they want to go quickly here. Berlanti with his first contribution, but O'Neill gave it straight back. Christensen, they want him to shoot. And in the end, it was dragged into Wilkinson. Tempo rising, though. Last time Sydney FC were here, they took the lead in the 55th minute. They dropped all 3 points though. Mickelson in the 77th minute, Wenzel Halls with the 90th minute winner. Will this game turn around? Lafondra trying to turn Leck inside out. Again, the young defender in the makeshift role stood up. Might be under pressure again here. Zulo. Pepper cuts out the pass. In by Zulo. He's actually attempted more crosses from general play than anyone else this season. Up towards 110 now, Andy. But in terms of completed crosses, he's equal fourth with 21. So just struggles to get that end product. Michael Zulo.
Yeah, it's maybe a little bit too over-eager. Final delivery. It's such a willing worker, very difficult to contain because he just covers the ground so quickly. Such purpose behind his raids.
Back to Redmayne. He found Zulo. Ninkovic trying to work an angle. Oh, how well did he do that to Lafondra? Mackay was trucking that run. O'Neill to switch to Grant. Around the corner is Caceres. He could have turned and gone. Coming together between Grant and Negro. Ninkovic. Brosk. And Young stayed low to make the save.
Yeah, good save. Good attack. Ninkovic remains a cut above most players on display here this evening. He's feel and knowledge of when to go and when to slow is unparalleled, unrivaled. He decides to go. Brosk goes with it, reads. Two very good players reading the situation. And a third very good player comes into the equation to save his team, Jamie Young. Oh, what a player, Milos Ninkovic.
Corner into a dangerous area. Lafondra headed it sideways. He's struggling for goals at the moment, isn't he? Second in the Golden Boot race after leading it for so long. Stuck on 14. Behind Krishna, who won't play this weekend due to suspension. So still time for Lafondra to maybe pull level with Krishna. Away by Negro. Delanty, eyes lighting up there. Just some signs that the game's opening up. Sydney FC starting to get some shots away. Wenzel Hawks. Here's a Brisbane throw as we check in with Nick Meredith.
Yeah, Speedy, just some interesting. We heard Thomas Christensen at half-time, or just after half-time, they say that Brisbane were getting overloaded in midfield because Matt Mackay was so deep and he felt like they were getting outnumbered. Well, they've certainly gone back into that pattern again. A number of times you've seen Mackay virtually as the centre half. They're getting dragged so deep. The more Sydney dominate possession, the deeper Brisbane gets. They've got to do something to try and break that circuit.
Fantastic play by Brillanti here. Brosk, quantity pass. Lafondra has gone down as though he was caught late by Pepper after getting the shot away. And the referee's going to hold things up and let VAR check this out and check on the welfare of Lafondra.
Well, good interchange. It's a beautiful shimmy from Brillanti. If it's slightly more on his left, then Alex Brosk does shoot. But it's in that corridor of uncertainty from the Sydney captain, which is anything to the right side of his body. But he puts it on a sort of a plate for Lafondra under enormous pressure. But a Lafondra in touch, a Lafondra in his great goal-scoring form, I think nails that one. Sort of symptomatic of a little bit of a rut that he's in at the moment.
Eli Babal going to make way here, and Nick D'Agostino after his heroics with the Australian under-23 side midweek. is onto the pitch. He scored both goals against South Korea. Australia needed those in the end. A 2-2 draw, enough to take them through to the AFC Under-23 Championship in January next year for a spot at the Tokyo Olympics next year. A double change on Enrique out there as well. Darren Davies going for it. Look at the enthusiasm for that ball kid on the far side. He wants to see the game up tempo. He's latching onto every loose ball. Atlantic is looking hungry in midfield. Breaks the way of Lopez though. Over hit for Enrique. And Mackay left it behind for Brosk. Alva somehow found the feet of Caceres off a hand or two. Lucas says play on. Wenzel Halls. Plenty to hit in the middle. Across the face, that's good goalkeeping by Redmayne.
Decent lead up too by Wenzel Halls. Good refereeing from Stephen Lucas. The handball was on Caceres, so played the advantage. Nice drive into the penalty area by Dylan Wenzel Halls, and not unreasonable. Here's the exchange. There's the handball. Referee's all over it, Speedy. Good advantage played.
Caceres can turn. Lafondra goes with the early toe poke. No real test for Jamie Young. Lovely ball threaded through to give the striker a chance. Christensen bided his time. Otiak. Well, will it hold up for Wenzel Halls? It does. Into the middle for D'Agostino. Confidence levels high right now. Trying to flick it over the top to Enrique. A double change has just provided a spark for Brisbane. A few things are breaking their way. Oh, what a ball! Nick D'Agostino with an immediate impact. Terrific cross to Botiak, and Brisbane are turning it around against Sydney FC at Suncorp again. That's one of the assists of the year. That's Botiak cooking up here. The old man, he's still got it.
Well, it's fantastic play by Nick D'Agostino. Sydney looked to have seen the trouble away. Ninkovic with beautiful control, and then Josh Brillante giving the ball away. And pouncing off the ricochet was D'Agostino. This is just instinct, pure instinct, clearly onside. Beautiful cushion finish to level the scores. D'Agostino excellent off the bench. And Botiak a reward for a very, very earnest outing so far from the Frenchman.
We'll have to add on about 2 minutes for the old man after his celebration. Took a long time to get to the corner flag, and maybe a little pop at Brisbane, who perhaps have told him you're too old for us to keep you for next year. Too old and broken. I wonder what the Brisbane hierarchy think of that as he pulls off the nutmeg on Brillante immediately after the goal. Well, they've got their tails up now, Brisbane, and the Melbourne Victory fans are celebrating right now. Kevin Muscat as well, because Sydney FC only 2 points clear of the victory on the live ladder.
And you're cruising for such large parts of the game, but just lacking that punch.
Given away by Mackay. And then he went under Brillante, and the foul is given.
Lacking that punch in the penalty area. Lafondra really struggling to find his form. He's working incredibly hard, and his contributions otherwise and combinations in the lead-up are going okay. But the moment he's got with a little bit of space, just losing that attacking instinct to really make the most of a half chance when it comes its way. And Brisbane will believe.
Wenzel Hall's caught late. Yellow card for Ryan Grant. Sydney FC have made that change, as you saw. Razor Gajanajad is out there. Alex Broski's off, and there's another one imminent. Sim de Jong about to come on. He's been the most fouled player tonight, Dylan Wenzel Halls. No argument there. All set up for a fascinating last 20 minutes here. Wenzel Hall's the match winner last time these teams met, in the final minute. He's on the move here. Tonjek forward as well. Lopez. Enrique trying to place it. Sydney FC, anywhere will do right now. Mackay has to play at it. Gajanajad with those fresh legs.
That's excellent pressure from Gajanajad. Really launches Sydney in a good part of the field if they can keep the momentum going.
Kepa holding up the Iranian international, but he kept it in for Ninkovic. Trying to twist and turn, but Lopez knew what was happening. Left just missing D'Agostino. It's helter-skelter now. Just onside Lafondra. Earns his team a corner. Well, where was this desire? Where was this sort of tempo from Sydney FC when they were 1-0 up to try and get a second goal?
Well, Brisbane are coming at them a bit more. Brisbane have raised the tempo. And Sydney are enjoying having a bit of tempo in the game, actually.
Great to see Sim de Jong back for the first time since round 15 when he copped that challenge, scoring the winner that day from Andrew Durante. I don't think Sydney FC were too happy that Durante wasn't punished for that in any respect. It was a bad one on the Dutchman. O'Neill, header, and what did that touch? Lucas doesn't know. Sydney FC are adamant there should be a penalty there.
And Brisbane are adamant that there was a push on Matt Mackay. I think it was a pretty clear push on Matt Mackay, actually.
What does VAR say? Just off the thigh / hip of Tonjek. Had he scored, it might have been chalked off. And shout of keeper came early from Young, looking for the early release as well. D'Agostino already teed up one goal, blocked off by Grant. It is a foul. On a yellow card, he's got to be careful. Let's get down to Nick.
Yes, Speedy, I think the game's definitely changed on the substitutions that Brisbane have made and the change in formation. To see what Bochak does with it. They were started off with that very conservative 5-3-2. But just, I'll let you take over here, Speedy.
Yeah, free kick given away by Calver.
Well, just jumping in and out. Since they've gone to 4-3-3, they've all of a sudden the energy's come into their game. They look more familiar with what they're doing, and they're starting to give the Sydney defence questions. And look, it's game on now.
Pontiac with an in-swinger. Is he thinking about a shot at goal here? He came up with Brisbane's equaliser. Tonjek looks like a handful, doesn't he? He goes for goal, and Redmayne tipped that over. And it's a corner. Or it should be. Eventually it's given. The body language said it all. Brisbane demanding it, and eventually Lucas obliged.
Cheeky from Botier. Good coverage provided by Andrew Redmayne.
Probably going a foot over, but that's the reach that Redders has. Still able to get a fingertip to it. Botiak delivers along the deck this time, not by design, and Ninkovic does get the whistle.
Well, Sydney in a very nervous mindset now, I'd suggest, Speedy. Failed to put Brisbane away. Got a gift, really a gift early goal inside a minute. Good header from Calvin, but from that free kick, completely unmarked. Just hopelessly inadequate defending from Brisbane.
With the live ladder. Yeah.
Peg Sydney back in this game and on the table.
And what a game tomorrow night. Perth against the Melbourne Victory in the West as part of our triple header in the Hyundai A-League on your Saturday night. Sydney FC opening the door for Melbourne Victory to claim second spot on the ladder. So important, of course, come finals time. Ninkovic all the way through. Gujanajad defended well enough by Mackay. Back in towards Lafondra. Drove it straight into Leck, who was stretching out some oncoming cramp a moment ago. Rotier. Good header. Won by O'Neill. Space here. Seemed to Young. Well, it wasn't a bad idea, the fake. He just couldn't keep it under his control.
Yeah, he just didn't roll it into the space he wanted to. The frustration, because a beautiful little dummy. At least on a CV basis, Sydney have got a fair bit of quality in that attacking third at the moment, albeit having sacrificed Alex Brosk.
Trying to roll Pepper. Here's Gujanajad, somehow found an angle. Oh, back off the post and in! Adam Lafondra joins Roy Krishna at the top of the Golden Boot race. Seemed de Jong played his part, denied by the woodwork, but Sydney FC are back in front, and that pedigree in the final third that Andy Harper was talking about is there for all to see.
Well, speaking about impacts off the bench, Brisbane have had it. What about Gujanajad? He just sucks the life out of the Brisbane defence. What's going to happen here? Is it going to roll out for a goal kick? What do we do? He milks it magnificently, the Iranian. Siem de Jong with a good effort on goal. It's such composed play by Reza. So too from the Dutchman, and just the fortune maybe Lafondra needs to be on the spot to side-foot it in.
The end of his frustration in front of goal of late. And Krishna won't have the chance to reply across the weekend. Lafondra now level with him. And the game's so open now, the prospect of more goals. Gujanajad getting the better of Tonyik, who came again, credit to him.
When you think of the fact that Alex Brosk has made way, include his name with Ninkovic, Gujanajad, Lafondra, Siem de Jong. The decent cocktail mix.
Yeah, often it's Bross coming off the bench. But he was the starter tonight. And the international players off the bench. Gujanajad and de Jong playing their part in that goal, finished off by the Englishman. So they're two clear now of Barbarousis and Keogh. Chance for them to respond tomorrow night in that marquee matchup. That is going to be a fascinating race, isn't it, over the next 5 rounds, to see who claims that golden boot.
But decent League of Nations too. England, Fiji, New Zealand, Ireland, Australia, Sweden. And the Aussie can't win it.
Former Brisbane player Andrew Redmayne, one of 3 in the starting 11 for the Roar tonight. So often the backup to Michael Theo, of course, and Theokritos during his time here in Brisbane. Now very much the #1 for Sydney FC. Lopez rolls out of that challenge. Botiak's on the move. Lopez says, where to next? Christensen. Agostino was asking for an early ball. Leck is a tired young man right now. Legs let him down a little. So the countdown to 5,000 goals is on. We're only 10 away now. Will it come tomorrow? Or will we have to wait until Sunday afternoon when the Mariners play host to Adelaide United? You sense it's coming this weekend. I wonder if the players will be doing the math as well and know it's the 5,000. Maybe we'll get a Botiak kind of celebration. Just a little shirt underneath with 5,000 written on it. Halves. Would you be that bold? Matt Simon, you say?
Well, you know, he as good as anyone. Last game of the round.
That would be soothsayer stuff. You had the 5,000 on a shirt underneath the playing kit. De Jong blocked off by Mackay, who does plenty of that. And the referee just held fire and eventually gave the decision. Talking it over with De Jong. He's not convinced he did block him off illegally. O'Neill with a glance to Ufuk Talay, the assistant coach for Sydney FC, on what to deliver here. Decent delivery too. Oh, Lafondra nearly had a second after Calver put it back across the face. So both of Sydney FC's goal scorers were half a chance there. Now Ryan Grant is on a yellow card. He took a decent old whack there at Enrique.
Great work from Enrique. This was amazing from Aaron Calver to get there and then not nail the header. Credit, I guess, to Daniel Leck in retreat, who made at least a nuisance of himself.
Oh, that's lovely. Agostino, and then the header from Botiak. Wenzel Hall's back to the Frenchman, and his left boot is better than his right, and it showed a little there. Stuck on 15 points, it appears. The Brisbane Roar. Not a lot of joy since Darren Davies took over as the caretaker after John Aloisi departed. He's asking for Locke Lingoy, the former Sydney FC man, to step towards halfway. With a hopeful ball, but Zulo gets it going Sydney FC's way again. Bujanajad. He's looking sprightly, making a real difference off the bench, not screwing his nose up about being benched. Ninkovic just drifting into space. A little fortunate that it came back to the way of Berlanti. D'Agostino took a bit of man before the ball.
Well, from a Sydney viewpoint, got the lead. How hard do they push to go ahead with it? But just a collection of players, a beautiful technique. They will back themselves. If they can get into any sort of rhythm, get players playing next to each other for any consecutive number of games. Thinking principally of De Jong to get him back into some game action. It's a pretty enticing prospect if they can understand each other's games. Vukovic, Lafondra, Brosk when he's there. This guy, beautiful player, Gachanajad, De Jong.
They'll be back on the Champions League stage soon enough as well. De Jong part of that squad. Good tussle won by Christensen. He did the hard work and thought that was an easy pass to Enrique, but Grant cut that off. Again, Redmayne. Not sure who he's trying to find with that. Put his last one out straight across the sideline.
This last sub for Brisbane will be an interesting one because waiting for confirmation, but I think they're checking on Daniel Leck with that fitness issue with the cramping. And with the striker looking to come on. It's going to be a little bit of a reshuffle. Ruan Tongiak's been asked if he's battle fit still. He's answered in the affirmative.
They're holding off for the time being. It's keeping Locke Lingoi. Darren Davies actually told him to take a seat.
I think that's why they work out the cut and paste job.
Maybe the fourth official told him to sit down as well, given that he was already stripped and ready. Didn't have the vest on anymore. Decent looking ball this. Eludes D'Agostino in the middle. There's the sportsmanship of Wilkinson, you may have noticed in backplay. D'Agostino climbed all over him, bit of a coming together, and he just had a little low five with him afterwards. He's just a model citizen. Alex Wilkinson. Absolute champion. And here he is again, heading clear. Galante, Lafondra, and we're asking for offside against Alfie. And ultimately he gets the decision in his favour. And he's struggling. Energy sapping conditions at Suncorp Stadium. And Leck brother, has been told to leave the pitch on the far side and walk his cramp off the long way.
And then Mackay goes into the centre of defence, probably a back three from here. Mackay flanks by Tongiak and Pepper.
Pretty classy ball by Zulo. All the way across to Gachanajad, and Young made it look easy, had the angles covered. That was shaping in.
That's you! Come on, Daggers!
Come on, Daggers is the cry. Darren Davies not happy. I understand if he misplaces a pass or two, must be battling jet lag a little after coming back from Cambodia. Here they go, that back three. Will it be ripped apart here? De Jong in behind. Oh, brilliant! There is the genius of the Dutchman. It's a little bit of Ned Zelic from all those years ago. The angle looked improbable. Everyone was looking for him to find a teammate. And De Jong said, I've got Jamie Young right where I want him. One of the goals of the season.
Well, it's Gachanajad as well, the two of them working through the tight space. It's trouble here for Brisbane with this sort of space. And you might be able to break the body from time to time, but you can't dent the class. Brilliant from Siem de Jong. Is the cross on? I'll just take the no-look pass into the empty net if you don't mind. Plenty to offer still in this competition. And indeed the Champions League for Sydney. But that is just class.
Fourth goal so far in the A-League. Take a bow right in front of those Sydney FC travelling fans in that far corner. So good to see him back. He's a chilled out entertainer, Siem de Jong. Off the pitch is great value.
That was a great little play on words, Speedy. Good to see him back.
Didn't mean it, Harps. Sometimes they're the best.
Come on, Speedy.
Unlike your Leck effort earlier. But do you reckon Siem de Jong just grew up on a steady diet of Ned Zellich scoring against the Dutch from a tight angle and thinking, I'm going to bring that to my game?
Yeah, possibly. It's probably a safer bet, Speedy, that he grew up on a diet of Van Basten and Cruyff.
Fair play. Van Basten with a stunning volley from a similar angle, of course. But Ned would have been filthy if I didn't bring him up after a goal scored from that kind of angle.
Don't worry about that. I thought about Ned at that second as well.
Grant gets the block in. Wenzel Hall skip past him and bends it. Oh, Redmayne could only watch, and it wasn't too far away.
Impish effort. Impish player. Great to watch. Rounds the ball up. You just see he locks on the vision. You can see the lasers just zooming in on near post and far post, working the angle. I'll have a go from here. You watch him every day of the week. And any player like it who decides to back themselves and have a go at the goal.
You're talking about Matrix kind of stuff. The lasers. Which movie has inspired that commentary?
No, I'm thinking about, you know, the analysis we sometimes do. You know, freeze the play here and you get that light going on an angle towards the goal. That's Wenzel Halls.
Here's another chance opening up, perhaps. Oh, Ninkovic tried the cheeky pass. One back by de Jong. All ball, said the referee. O'Neill got options. And he burnt Gujanajad and Ninkovic.
He says, Reza, Brandon, include me.
Don't forget about that pedigree that Andy Harper mentioned, Brandon. You've got some talent ahead of you. Ninkovic, Gujanajad teeing up de Jong. Oh, he tried to thump it across into that top corner.
Well, it'll finish a comfortable win for Sydney. As the first half said it was probably going to be, but Brisbane mounted an encouraging comeback. Botiak with the equaliser off the brilliant pass from D'Agostino. And they look a possibility for a period there, Brisbane.
Botiak to Enrique, plenty forward here. Would surely just be a consolation goal if they can get one. And that's going to bend away Ryan Grant cheekily.
But the two things, probably three things that have got Brisbane in the end: the relative table position eats at your confidence, sets a standard and expectation for the game. That plays on players' minds. The rather porous midfield from Brisbane athletically. Sydney able pretty much to do what they want. Didn't take great advantage of it, it should be said. Steve Corica's team over the whole 90 minutes. But then finally, in the closing stages, Darren Davies can just sit back and wonder how to deal with the talent on display. Off the bench, Dutch and Iranian internationals linking up with amazing quality in Ninkovic. And that's it.
Sydney FC consolidate. Second spot on the A-League ladder. Siem de Jong off the bench with an assist and a cheeky goal. Adam Lafondra back joint top in the Golden Boot race. They've got so much class and ability in the final third, and it shone through tonight in the latter stages. After Brisbane pegged them back with a classy goal from Botiak. Full time here. Sydney FC 3, Brisbane 1. So the Melbourne Victory really have to respond now tomorrow night. Big task in the West, of course, but Sydney FC are 4 points clear in second with 4 games to go for them.